Venus is Earth's twin, but it is the twin from a nightmare. Most people think Venus is hot because it is close to the sun. That is a huge mistake. Mercury is much closer to the sun, but Venus is way hotter. It sits at a constant 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hot enough to melt a lead pipe like an ice cube. So why is it so angry? The answer is the air. Imagine a greenhouse made of thick, poison clouds. On Earth, our atmosphere lets heat escape into space. On Venus, the heat gets trapped in a deadly loop. The air is made of carbon dioxide that acts like a heavy blanket. This blanket is so thick that it creates a runaway greenhouse effect. The planet literally forgot how to cool down. But the heat is only half the story. The air isn't just hot, it is heavy. Standing on the surface of Venus would feel like standing 3,000 feet under the ocean. The gas is so thick it becomes a supercritical fluid. This means the air behaves like a liquid and a gas at the same time. It is a massive pressure cooker that would crush a human being in a split second. Venus isn't just a planet that went wrong. It is a warning of what happens when a world loses control of its own climate. Now look up at the clouds. They aren't white and fluffy like the ones on Earth. They are a sickly, pale yellow. These clouds are made of pure sulfuric acid. It doesn't just rain on Venus, it bleeds chemicals. But here is the strange part. The rain never actually hits the ground. The air near the surface is so scorching that the acid turns back into a gas before it can touch the rocks. It is a constant cycle of falling poison that vanishes into thin air. But the real mystery is on the mountaintops. Scientists noticed that the highest peaks on Venus are incredibly shiny, almost like they are covered in frost. On Earth, that would be water ice. On Venus, ice is impossible. Instead, the heat is so intense that metals like lead and bismuth turn into a mist. This metal mist rises high into the sky until it finally cools down. Then it happens. The metal freezes out of the air. It falls back down and coats the mountains in a shimmering metallic layer. Imagine a world where the snow is made of heavy metal and the rain is made of battery acid. It sounds like science fiction, but this is the daily weather on our neighbor planet. It is a place where the very ground and sky are trying to melt, crush, or dissolve anything that dares to land there. You might wonder, why don't we just send a super robot to explore the surface? We have rovers on Mars that last for years, but Venus is a graveyard for machines. In the 1970s and 80s, the Soviet Union sent several probes called Venera. Most of them died before they even touched the ground. The ones that did land only lost it about an hour. Imagine spending millions of dollars on a robot only to have it melt and turn into a puddle in 60 minutes. The problem isn't just the heat, it's the chemistry. The air on Venus is so acidic that it literally eats through metal. Even worse, the heat is so high that the brains of the robots stop working. In a normal computer, electricity flows through silicon chips, but at 900 degrees Fahrenheit, the atoms inside those chips start to jump around. The computer gets confused, goes haywire, and eventually goes brain dead. It's like trying to run a laptop inside a pizza oven. But we aren't giving up. Scientists are now building a new kind of explorer. Instead of fancy electronics, they are looking at mechanical rovers. These would use gears and springs like an old-fashioned wind-up watch to move around. Even as we speak in 2026, new missions are being planned to drop probes into the clouds. We are determined to see what is hiding under those yellow veils, even if the planet tries to crush everything we send. The scariest part about Venus isn't the heat or the acid. It's the fact that Venus used to be just like Earth. Billions of years ago, Venus likely had blue oceans, white clouds, and a cool breeze. It was our twin in every way. But then something went horribly wrong. The planet's brakes broke. On Earth, our oceans and rocks help soak up extra carbon dioxide to keep us cool. On Venus, that system failed. The oceans boiled away and the carbon dioxide filled the sky until the planet turned into a permanent furnace. This is why scientists are so obsessed with this nightmare world. It is a giant laboratory that shows us what happens when a climate goes out of control. When people talk about global warming on Earth, Venus is the ultimate warming. We aren't saying Earth will turn into a 900-degree Fahrenheit desert tomorrow, but Venus proves that once a planet starts heating up too much, it might not be able to stop. It's a ghost of a world that didn't make it. By studying the evil twin, we are actually learning how to protect our own home. We want to know exactly where the tipping point is. If we can figure out why Venus died, we might find the keys to keeping Earth alive. It's not just about exploring a scary place, it's about making sure our own sky never turns yellow and our rain never turns to acid. But what if I told you we don't have to stay on the ground? While the surface of Venus is a total nightmare, there is a secret hiding 30 miles up in the air. At that height, the temperature is around 70 degrees Fahrenheit and the air pressure is exactly like it is on Earth. It's the most comfortable place in the entire solar system outside of our own home. Scientists are actually dreaming of cloud cities, giant floating balloons where humans could live in the sky, drifting far above the melting rocks and acid mist. It sounds crazy, but Venus is a planet of extremes that forces us to think big. It is a world that tries to crush us, melt us, and dissolve us, yet it still holds the most Earth-like spot in space. We study this 900-degree Fahrenheit furnace because it tells us the story of our past and gives us a warning about our future. It shows us how lucky we are to have a planet that breathes, and it challenges us to be smart enough to keep it that way. So the next time you look up at the bright morning star in the sky, remember what is actually happening under those beautiful clouds. It is a shimmering, metallic, acid-soaked nightmare, and it's the most important lesson we will ever learn. Which part of Venus scares you the most? Is it the crushing pressure or the metal snow? Let me know in the comments below.